welcome back to another video. And today, as you can see in front of you, we have E25. So I'm gonna talk about this tank and I'm gonna show 3 battles in which it is good and it's bad in some case. So is this tank as good as in World of Tanks? Then I would say that it's probably not as good as in World of Tanks, simply because in World of Tanks Blitz you don't actually have big enough maps to use your camouflage and your maneuverability to expose it and do a lot of damage. In Blitz, it's still not a bad vehicle actually. It has pretty much the most DPM out of any tier 7 tank destroyer, except for the SU-152 with the 122mm gun, 400 alpha damage. But it's still a very good tank. It has really high penetration as well as shell velocity. I'm gonna show you my loadout, what I'm using, but you can already see it below. But this tank is really fast, it has excellent camo. How much gun depression does it have? It actually has 8 degrees of gun depression, which means you can actually use ridges to your advantage, which in some cases I do not recommend, but we'll talk about it later in the video. So yeah, camouflage, I'm running the legendary camouflage, nothing special here. Legendary camouflage doesn't add any extra camo, like the regular camouflages bring the same 4% camo to the E25, so I'm just using the legendary because it's a legendary camo. So the consumables, you could use whatever I want, but I'm using adrenaline just because the rate of fire of this tank is insane. It has a reload of 3.2 seconds, so it's really quick. So I'm using the adrenaline on this tank. The repair kits just because it's ATD, non-turret ATD, which I'm not a fan of, but this tank is actually good for being a non-turret ATD. You could be using engine power to help you rotate and go through like water and stuff, or go into early positions quicker, but I definitely advise running adrenaline because it gives you way better DPM. 20% to DPM is gonna make your tank insane. It already has almost 3000 damage per minute, so you need to use it to your advantage. To the provision, casual stuff, food to increase your DPM and stuff, and then improved fuel for the average speed increase and power to weight ratio and degrees, or health traverse speed as well. Ammo, you could use whatever you want, but this is how I'm using: 35, 20 and 5 HEs, just for those Nashorns or Turret Mills or Borsigs that you're gonna meet. I don't think you can actually pen Turret Mill with HE, so you don't need to bring a lot of those. Now for the equipment, the most important part on this tank, and I'm using the cannon rammer to increase my DPM, and as you can see, it already has 3000 damage per minute, which is really good for a tier 7. Improved modules to not get tracked basically as often, but if they shoot your tracks, you're gonna get tracked anyway, so you don't really need to play this tank as an aggressive tank. As obviously camouflage net, even though you could use optics, 266 is not bad for a tier 7, but it's not great either. But with camo net, as you can see, while stationary, your camo can be up to 83, which is really good. 58 while moving, which is also good, and after firing, obviously there isn't a lot of tanks that have good camo after firing, so the camouflage on the E25 is insane. Use that. Now, this is where probably you would disagree with me, but I'm actually using supercharge instead of enhanced gun laying drive, even though I could get 10% to aiming speed, but I'm actually using supercharge simply because I get that extra shell velocity and my penetration doesn't go down as much in the long distance shots. Plus, if you have higher shell velocity, your RNG is not gonna be as bad. At least this is what I experienced, because if you have lower shell velocity, your shell is gonna go a little bit higher rather than like a laser straight. So that's why I'm using supercharged, and I think that this equipment slot is really underrated for what it actually brings to the table. Now, this is obvious: hit points, because this tank has literally no armor, so don't expect to be bouncing any shots even against tier 6s. Engine accelerator, I think that's pretty straightforward. You get more speed, more everything with it compared to the improved control. Stabilizer, I just use the stabilizer instead of the dispersion like I usually would with other tanks, but in this tank I use the stabilizer because I'm already not using the enhanced gunling drive, I'm using supercharge instead, so I was thinking about it, so I'm gonna balance it with the stabilizer. Here, it's up to you. I'm using the toolbox to repair the tracks that get damaged the most of the time, and consumable delivery system. So that's pretty much it with the E25. Let's see how it performs in the battle. So first battle in the rock field. As you can see, we are top tiers this time. The other two games are gonna be bottom tiers. So you'll see how it actually performs in the low tier matchmaking as well, or bottom tier matchmaking. As usual, we're going to the standard bush. We're gonna set up our camouflage net, and we're gonna wait for this Type 62 to try and spot something for us. So far we don't see anything, so we're just waiting. Maybe I was thinking about doing a blind shot, but I saw the Type 62. I hit one into the Type 62, but because he's a light tank, he has good camouflage, so he managed to spot me. But I managed to put one shot into this Type 64, even though I took one from it. And this is why I don't really recommend you to be aggressive, because you only have 1000 hit points. And as you saw, that Type 64 literally just took like 10% of my hit points, which is not ideal. Now those were not best shots. I probably should have aimed. And this is where this tank is gonna be lovely. With adrenaline, the reload is 2.7, and as you can see, we're just pumping shots into the IS-2. There is nothing he can do. I could have probably went for the tracks, but that was a little bit too risky in my opinion, so I just went for the guaranteed damage. Now I'm just waiting for Type 64. He's not gonna pop up, so I'm thinking maybe I should relocate, try to get the VK. As I relocate, I cannot find any shots. This rock is in front of me, and I can already see that I have some free shots into the IS-2. I probably should have used the bush to my advantage, but this is where the tank is not that good. As you can see, I'm using the gun depression, but when I'm using my gun depression, if we take a look at the front of the tank, you can see I can barely see the tank, but they can see the whole upper part of my tank, which is not ideal with E25. This is one of the main reasons that I wouldn't suggest you going aggressively with this tank, because you're gonna be exposing the whole top of your tank before you can even shoot anyone. So that's why I don't really recommend it peeking and playing aggressively, at least on the ridges with this tank. Obviously, if you're flanking someone, then you need to do this, but I don't really recommend playing with this tank aggressively. So yeah, this is the main reason that I don't play it. I play it as a sniper, and this is how it's supposed to be. It's how it's played in at least regular Wall of Tanks. Obviously, in regular Wall of Tanks, it could be aggressive as well, but it can meet up to tier 9s, I think, and down to tier 5s. Actually, can it beat tier 9s, or does it have preferential matchmaking? I think it can still meet tier 9s, right? Or no? I don't know. You'll need to let me know if it can actually meet tier 9s in the regular Wall of Tanks. Anyway, I took one for the team in this one. I did a negative trade, and I couldn't go flank them through the left because I didn't knew where the Dicker Max was and the ARL. Now someone was capping the base that was ARL, so I managed to put one shot into him pretty easily. He wasn't paying attention, so yeah, this is where I said again, the bad reason about this tank, you're literally exposing a lot of your tank. So he got an easy shot into me, as you saw. If you didn't see, hit my upper plate, which was exposing quite a bit. This is where I'm trying to bait him with my cupola, which is not going to work. And I was just tired of it. I was thinking about how to get extra damage, and I saw the VK. I immediately started moving closer to get some easy shots. It was a 50-50 if he could one-shot me. I already know that he's using the 200 plus alpha damage gun, so it's a 50-50 for him, but he decides to shoot the aerial, and this is easy shots for us. We got 2 easy shots, that's like 300 damage, and it wasn't too bad. Well, E25 as a premium tank, it can actually earn you a little bit of credits, but it's not like a tier 8 that earns like almost 100,000 per battle. On average it's like 80,000. This is where I was thinking that I could get some more damage, but I didn't manage to. KD2 shuts him down with a big juicy derb hit, and this is how the battle ends. The next 2 battles are gonna be better, but this is where I am showing you the bad sides of the E25. Well, there is not a lot of bad sides about this tank. I think that it's good as long as you're not playing it aggressively. It doesn't have a lot of hit points, as you can see. We were second on damage in our team, so it wasn't too bad of a game, but because this tank needs to be passive, you're gonna lose quite a bit of experience while camping, because this tank is really team reliant, and as you saw, I managed to get 41,000 profit out of 65, and I don't think I shot any hit rounds in this battle, but it's still quite a nice profit for a tier 7 tank, whilst doing only 1.7 thousand damage. So let's jump into the second battle and let's see how it actually performs when it's in a good position. So second map, Castilia, one of my least favorite maps, but for this tank this is a really nice map because you can actually camp and your teammates if your teammates provide you some spotting, you can rack up damage really easily, and you can use your maneuverability. This is one of those maps in which E25 is actually really useful, and you can use it to its fullest advantage, but we're not doing that because obviously we don't need to be aggressive. They have one light tank and it's a tier 8 RU, so I don't really want to go 1 versus 1 against RU. As you can see, we're putting good shots and we managed to track that guy. I was trying to go for another tracking shot, but it didn't really work. He just bounced off. I should have probably just taken the damage. And as you can see, this is where my team is spotting for me, and this tank is really good. But here we go again. I'm trying to track him. I managed to track him, which is good. The only bad part about this gun is the low caliber. Obviously high rate of fire, but low damage, which means you're gonna have a struggle whilst trying to track enemy vehicles, which is not ideal because you want to track them and keep in front of you as long as possible, because you have that insane 3000 damage per minute potential. You can literally just delete a tier 8 tank in like half a minute. This is where I made a little bit of a mistake. I should have aimed a little bit. I was already loaded heat, so I was pretty confident I was gonna pin him in the lower plate, but I shot to the upper plate, which is just my fault. I just aimed that shot like a total donkey, but that's fine. We're trying to search for a free shots into the Tiger P, and he's actually kind enough to peek. As you can see, the ammo rack is damaged on that guy, and boom, 880 damage, easy for us. We got spotted, and I was immediately surprised, but there was an RU behind us, and I was kind of surprised because my only TD was on the left, and he didn't actually manage to spot him, or maybe I just tunnel visioned and didn't really think that he was going to be here at that time. In the replay, you might have seen it for a little bit or not, but here we go. RU is trying to rush me. As you can see, we have 3000 damage per minute, and I think E25 has more damage per minute than RU, but RU can shoot hash, which would absolutely wreck me, but he's not doing that, and flanking with RU is not a bad idea. I give him credit, but E25 has such a great traverse speed that there is really not much that RU can do. I think he missed one shot as well, so that's not ideal for him, but even if he didn't miss that shot, we would have been able to kill him, because we had 3000 damage per minute. Well, this tank can 1v1 someone, but like a tank like RU, it's really difficult to 1v1. If he was shooting hash, he probably would have most likely killed me, but he wasn't shooting hash, and that's when the DPM really shined on this tank. So now I'm just trying to get some extra shots into those guys, but I know that I'm not gonna make it in time if I go to the right, so I'm going to the left. I still know that there is charioteer somewhere in the map, camping or not camping, who knows. Probably camping, but here we go, we got the charioteer spotted. 1.1k damage for us if we can manage. T49 puts a good shot. I managed to put one as well. Derped the second shot, but he luckily missed me as well, and we're not gonna get the kill sadly, because the LTTB rams him to death, which is a good play for him because he gets more experience for a kill. So this is where the E25 was really good, because I was managing to keep on pumping shots whilst not being really spotted, except from the time that the RU managed to spot me. So as you can see, first class for 3500 damage. In most games, 3500 damage would be enough for an ace, but this time I was camping, so obviously I would get less experience, because 50% of that experience that I was getting from shooting the enemy was going to my teammates, so I kinda lost out on that, but still, anyway, a good game. 76,000 profit from 102,000. I was shooting a little bit of goal. I think I shot like 1 goal, which is not necessary because this tank has already a high penetration. I think it's like 200 or 197, I think it is. Let's quickly take a look at how good the penetration of this tank is. It is 194, which is actually really good. It actually doesn't struggle at all against tier 8, and as you saw from that battle, we managed to get 76,000 profit from this. So for a tier 7 tank, this tank actually makes really good amount of credits, and it doesn't struggle against tier 8s unless your team doesn't spot at all. Now let's go to the third battle and let's see if it's any good against tier 8s once again. Here we go, we are in the map Alpenstein. Just because I had good camo, so I was thinking I could play this one a little bit aggressively, or a little bit more aggressive than your casual standard tank destroyers, so I'm taking my E25 to this bush over here, which I would say is a pretty aggressive bush if you want to play in this side at least, especially when there is a medium or a light tank in the enemy team. In this case there was only one medium, which I didn't realize at the time. I was just thinking, okay, I can definitely get into the bush and shoot one guy for free for sure, because he's not going to spot me, but as I see the enemy heavies are going to the right, so I'm thinking about relocating straight away, but I was still looking for that kill free because he was backing off a little bit, but I quickly realized that he's not going to back off, so I'm relocating as well. I can clearly see that there is a lot, and I mean a lot of players in the right side, and the first target is gonna be the T23 E3, which is a really good medium. I would actually compare the tank to a Comet. It's really similar, but this is where I'm using my adrenaline again. 2.7 seconds reload time, which is really good for this tank, and we're just pumping shells. And obviously 200 meters for the tank destroyer is more than enough to spot me. I'm a little bit afraid of that T23 E3 because he can shoot me for free, but he is not doing that because I think he's afraid that I'm going to shoot him because he didn't see anything. And as I saw that IS2 is trying to get me, so I was thinking about relocating somewhere, not relocating through the whole map, just being in this position, being close to the cover. I always want to have some cover if I get spotted unexpectedly, and I'm just waiting for that T23 E3 to come, and I'm not engaging him simply because I knew that there was a Vindicator behind him, and that tank has a big nasty derp gun which I don't want to take a hit from. As I just saw, the E3 actually relocated, and this Vindicator somehow didn't manage to spot me. I know, that's crazy. This is where the camo is actually pretty good once you're moving and not shooting. I'm just trying to pump some easy shots into him, and he's still not spotting me. 130 meters. I have camo net, but he's not spotting me. And as you can see, I'm not shooting through the shield. I'm actually shooting the upper part. You don't really need to shoot at the cupola if you have good penetration. I shot the heat through the shield this time. It worked. Usually it doesn't, but it worked because I had really high penetration, but sadly the other shot didn't hit him. This is where I'm trying to kill him to the cupola, but that was a mistake. You shouldn't be doing that. And I didn't secure the kill, even though I could have secured it really easily if I shot to the same place. Now I'm seeing that the Liberté is actually flanking me, and I had a little bit quicker reactions, and I managed to shut him down for an easy kill for us. So we are already up to 2000 damage, which is not bad for this tank. Here I can see the Vindicator, simply because that Vindicator has really poor shell velocity. He's not managing to kill us, or not kill us, hit us, and we managed to kill him. That's why I would say that Supercharge is really underrated for what it actually does to your tank. Well, we didn't manage to get a whole T23 E3 to ourselves, but that is still fine. We're surviving, so we're farming the IS2. We managed to get the kill. We're up to 3 kills, 2,500 damage, which is a really good result for this tank. And there is only Scorpion remaining. I could have shot the gun shield on that Scorpion, but I didn't really want to. I just wanted to secure the kill, but my gunner was dead, which was a total RNG at the end. So as you saw, camo actually works in this tank, and I definitely recommend using camo net, because in those situations where I shot the Vindicator, I think that it really highlights the amount of camouflage that your tank actually has. And as you saw, I made 57,000 profit, almost 58,000, which is really good for a tier 7 tank, I would say. 86,000 credits in total, but as I shot a little bit of gold, obviously I lost a little bit as well. As you saw, I was playing E25 patiently and not aggressively, passively. And I think this is how you should be playing this tank in Blitz at least. Obviously you need to play passively with this tank in regular wall of tanks as well, but especially in Blitz, you cannot be aggressive. It's fast-paced game, and you really are at a disadvantage if you don't have a turret. So if you can get yourself a turret, I mean, obviously get it, but in E25 there is no way to do it, so I would say use your camouflage to your advantage. It's not as good as in the regular Wall of Tanks, because there is more HP, especially with the heavy buffs that this game just got. Like the old tier 7s, tier 8s, tier 9s, tier 10s, tier 6s. I don't think tier 5s got the buff, but maybe they did. They all got HP buffs, so now it's kinda awkward to play this tank, because you cannot really go super aggressively, you cannot really be flanking and circling them because they have so many hit points, so eventually I would think that they would get you pretty easily. Well, if it's a 1v1, obviously you can go for it because you have 3000 DPM, but this tank is still really good in my opinion. It's still worth it. If it's going to go for like 10 euros, then you need to pick it up because this is a really fun tank to play with, especially when you're bored of the regular tier 10s or just grinding regular tanks, as I am grinding the Hori line, and it is absolutely atrocious, but that is fine. I still want to get my last line in the game. So anyways, this is it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the E25, and if you were wondering should you buy this tank or not, then hopefully this video helped you. If you want to do well in it, just be passive at the start, and in the end you can be aggressive to pick up a little bit more damage, trade your hit points for extra damage, and hopefully that can give you some really nice battles with the E25, and maybe I'm gonna feature it as well in the long future that we're having. Anyway, you can follow my Twitch. It's at twitch.tv/myfinas. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The times are gonna be in the description, and if you want to, you can also come to my Discord. We can have a chat over there because I'm not really responding to the questions in game. I pretty much always respond to the questions, at least in the Discord, and there is plenty other experienced guys in there which can help you with the questions in game that you might want to ask. As well, if it's not difficult for you, you can also drop a sub, which would be really appreciated. So anyway, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.